Welcome to my NHL Hangout video. Today I'll be talking about how to win your fantasy hockey league. Winning your fantasy hockey league is actually quite easy if you know what you're doing. The most important part of building a good team is having a good draft. There are two simple ways to draft. You can 1. Draft an offense-dominant team, and 2. You can draft a well-balanced team with great goaltending. Drafting an offense-dominant team can be quite challenging because you really need to know the player's value very well. Knowing when to pick a goalie is critical because you can't have terrible goaltending. Try to target a specific goalie in the draft and reserve a round to draft them. The forwards I like to target are usually impact forwards. Be sure to draft the players that can produce on their own and not rely on other players for the production. I also usually like to draft line mates because you can get double the production. Drafting defense is usually a challenge, especially if you don't draft a defenseman until the 7th or 8th round. Defensemen generally don't factor into fantasy that much, but you still need to get the right defenseman. With this draft strategy, you are rolling the dice that you outscore everyone because your goalies might be mediocre. This strategy is most effective in leagues with 12 or less teams. If you have 12 or more teams in a league, it won't work. Drafting a well-balanced team is the easier draft method. Typically, if you want to draft a well-balanced team, you want to draft 2 great goalies within the first few rounds. It is also best to draft players of each forward position before drafting a defenseman. Be sure to draft at least 2 impact defensemen who are true number 1 defensemen on their own team. The key to building a well-balanced team is knowing the sleeper players because it might be those sleeper players that actually make your team good. This strategy is best used in deep leagues. After the draft, you need to remain active during the season and set your lineup. It is especially critical to check your starting goalies. Sometimes the players you draft don't work out, so you need to replace them. This is where the waiver wire will come into play. The most important thing about the waiver wire is to track players on the rise. You need to get the players before they trend up. The players you want to target are young, unproven players who have high potential. Before picking up those young, unproven players, check to see who they are playing with. If they aren't playing in the top 6, they aren't worth picking up. Anytime you get the chance to pick up a goalie that is on fire, you should do it. Trades can make or break your team. Here are a few tips to keep in mind. 1. Buy low, sell high. 2. Don't trade or trade for goalies. 3. The team who gets the best player wins the trade. Also, keep in mind when making a trade, you need to make sure that that trade will benefit you the whole season, not just a few weeks. Winning your fantasy hockey league and head-to-head leagues can be pure luck. All you need to do is make the playoffs and have 3 hot weeks. However, if you play in a points or roto league, the points are accumulative over the course of the season. Sometimes you need luck to win your fantasy hockey league, but at the same time, you need to build a good team at the draft, so it is much easier to cruise through the season and get an easier playoff bracket. In the next NHL Hangout video, I'll be talking about breakout players in the NHL.